Hi and welcome to Scapula Training. In between the exercises, I'm going to read always a little part, a little fraction to obstructive lung diseases, and I try to puzzle it all together and try to understand what obstructive lung diseases are and to remember. And participating in the exercise is your own risk, and obstructive lung diseases have something to do with diseases of the lungs, so I'm going to talk a lot of the time of this video about diseases. Let's start with a little warm-up exercise. We are just circling the shoulders back, up and front and down, so forward shoulder circles. We go back with the shoulders, up and front and down. And one more. And now we're changing the direction. We're going in front, up, back and down. And one last time, front, up, back and down, and it was a warm-up exercise. Let's look for the first fraction. Obstructive lung diseases have something to do with the lungs. Okay, they have something to do with the lungs. So far so good. Obstructive lung diseases have something to do with the bronchi. Okay, it gets more complicated. Have something to do with the bronchi. A little more to the bronchi here. In the source material, something is mentioned which means that in the lungs are large bronchioles and smaller bronchi. So inside of the lungs there are larger bronchioles and smaller bronchi. So in the lungs there are things which are larger than they are bronchioles and they are smaller than the bronchi. And obstructive lung diseases has something to do with the lungs. Next exercise, first exercise basically, because the first one was just a warm-up exercise. So now we're having long arms, now bend in the elbows, we're making fists with the hands, and we're going back with shoulders, completely back. Now we're trying to come further back, the whole time while we're lifting the shoulders up. Lift them completely up, and now try to come higher up with the shoulders, while we're bringing them slowly in front. And we have brought them completely in front. Now try to bring the shoulders more in front, while we're moving them slowly down. And we've brought completely down. Now try to come further down to the ground while we're moving slowly backwards. And you're completely back. Now try to come further back while you lift them up. And we've lifted them completely up. And now try to lift them higher up while we're moving the shoulders in front. And we're in front. And we are trying to come further in front of the shoulders while we're bringing them down. And this was all the rounds we are doing before we're doing the last round. So this is the last round. We're going backwards and we're completely back. Now try to come higher, come back, and now try to come higher up the shoulders. Bring it up the front and head forward in a moment backwards. So in the lungs are large bronchioles and smaller bronchi, and the bronchi are affected, and the bronchi are in the lungs, and the lungs are affected by obstructive lung diseases. These large bronchioles and the smaller bronchi are by obstructive lung diseases narrowed. So narrow means smaller. So they were larger, they're getting smaller. Whether we were the larger bronchioles or the smaller bronchi, they get even narrower. That gives us a picture. So the narrowing of the bronchioles and bronchi in the lungs is said to come through excessive contraction of the smooth muscle itself. Who the smooth muscle is not mentioned. It's not really helpful. So there is a smooth muscle. We don't know what or where it is, but this smooth muscle contracts. If the muscle contracts, this is contraction of the biceps. If a muscle contracts, and that is what it does. We have no explanation what happens. But this muscle contracts, and through that, the bronchioles, the larger bronchioles, and the smaller bronchi getting narrower. That makes sense. The muscle contracts, it gets pressed together. And so the bronchioles and the bronchi are getting narrower. It could be riddled together if we take all what we have here in account. Now, forward. We're going back with shoulders, completely back. And now we're coming up. We're coming as high as we think we head that direction. So we're going in front, completely in front. And now try to come further in front of the lifting the shoulders up. And we've lifted them completely up. And now try to lift them higher up. While we go back and completely back. Now try to bring the shoulders further back while we're bringing them down, way down. Now try to come further down to the ground while we're bringing them slowly in front. And now try to bring the shoulders further in front by lifting them slowly up and way up. And now try to come higher up at the shoulders. How time point you bring back, and try to bring them further back. We're going down, last round. We're trying to come further down, but we're bringing them in front. Now try to bring them up. We're completely up. Now try to bring them higher up. While we move backwards, and we are done. So, the smooth muscle in the lungs contracts, and if you just assume it, that leads to a narrowing of the bronchioles, the larger bronchioles and the smaller bronchi in the lungs. And that sounds like something which could be obstructive, so an obstructive lung disease. The bronchs are obstructed, they are narrowed because of a smooth muscle which contracts.
Obstructive lung diseases are generally characterized by inflamed and easily collapsible airways.
No further explanation, so we can take it only as it is written there. Collapsing means it breaks together. How should we picture a collapsing airway? No real idea. They are inflamed and are easily collapsible, these airways. The bronchs are airways.
Obstruction of airflow.
So that makes sense. The airflow is how the air goes through the bronchi and through, and that is obstructed. Obstructive means blocked, or it doesn't go so good, and that makes sense. They are narrower because the smooth muscle contracts. They are narrower, the bronchioles and bronchi, and that obstructs them.
Problems with exhaling.
Okay, and that makes problems with exhaling.
And also, do these obstructive lung diseases lead to frequent medical clinical visits and hospitalizations?
Does not sound so good, but we can understand it. So if it happens, these obstructive lung diseases, they lead to clinical visits and hospitalizations, so that the people have to go to hospital and into the clinic. Next exercise, we're having the legs standing wide apart. We're going a bit into the knees. We're hinging forward with a straight back, we're letting the arms hang. And now we're putting the scapulas together, very with pressure. Now we're making fists, and we're bringing the arms up, and we're still pulling the scapulas together. And we're releasing the arms and the scapulas. And again, going a bit into the knees, ranging forward with a straight back, putting the arms in. Now we're making a way that the scapulas are put together, so put the scapulas with back muscles together. Back fists, and we bring the arms up. Try to bring the scapulas further together. Under pressure, all that. We are releasing the arms and the scapulas. So the symptoms were inflamed and easily collapsible airways, problems with exhaling, and
Obstruction of airflow.
Problems with exhaling and obstruction of airflow are easily collapsible and inflamed airways, and frequent visits to the hospital.
Different types of obstructive lung diseases exist: asthma, bronchitis, bronchiectasis, and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease.
So asthma, bronchitis, bronchiectasis, and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Chronic, it is chronic. Obstructive, it is blocked. Chronic obstructive pulmonary. Pulmonary is also to do with the lungs. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. So asthma, bronchitis, bronchiectasis, and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. For example. The next exercise, we're having again legs standing wide apart. We're going a bit into the knees. We're hinging forward. Now with a round back. Then the arms in. We're turning the arms to the inside. And we're bringing the arms up and to the inside. And we're lifting up and bringing the scapulas down and into the middle together, and the arms up and to the inside. Scapulas down into the middle, scapulas up to the inside. They're putting some effort into doing it, even if you reach the point. So, scapulas down to the inside, arms back to the inside. And we're releasing the arms and the scapulas. And one round more. Legs standing wide apart, we're hinging a bit with knees, we're hinging forward with the arms. We're making a little bend in the knees, we're hinging forward with the back, we're making a round back, we're letting the arms in. Now we're turning the arms to the inside, we're bringing the arms up into the inside, we're straightening up the back, and we're bringing the scapulas down onto the inside, the arms back onto the inside. Releasing, and we're done with the exercise. The next exercise, we're having both arms out to the side, with hands out. And now we bring these arms to the inside, and we are actively bringing the scapulas in front. And we bring the arms again to the outside, the scapulas together into the middle. So the scapulas can go over the rib cage. We can move over the rib cage. And we're doing that actively. So we're not just bringing the arms in front, but we're really thinking actively about bringing the scapulas in front and moving them over the rib cage. And we are doing that. So back with scapulas, then we bring the arms in front, and we are actively moving with the muscles, the scapulas, into the direction they should go by themselves. And we bring them back, and we bring the scapulas slowly in alliance with the arms in front, completely in front of the scapulas. And then we bring the scapulas back to the middle, and we're pressing them even a little bit together. And the last time we go in front of the scapulas. And again back. So, asthma, bronchitis, bronchiectasis, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease are 4 examples of obstructive lung diseases. Obstructive lung diseases, the smooth muscle in the lungs contracts excessively, and that leads to a narrowing of the larger bronchioles and smaller bronchitis, and that leads to problems with exhaling, obstruction of the airflow.
It was all basically the same. Inflamed and easily collapsible airways. And the last thing, the amount of air possible to inhale within 1 second is, by obstructive lung disease, less than 70%.
Okay, this isn't good data. So in 1 second, what is the course of 1 second? The amount of air to inhale, the maximum amount, which is how much is possible. In this 1 second time period, only 70% is reached of what is maximum possible. So there is an amount of volume of air possible to breathe in into the lungs. So that is maximum volume. And this breathing in takes longer than 1 second. So it's not... I don't know how it's measured, so I don't know if it happens through the mouth or through the nose. You have just seen it takes different amount of times, but it takes longer than 1 second. I don't know how it's measured, but just this sentence, it does not take 1 second, but it takes longer. It was not very much more than a second, but I think you have understood it. The next exercise, you can also take a tennis ball or something, and we hold it out to the outside. We are letting it drop. So dropping it, and we're catching it again, and we're trying to straight up. And on the other side. Done this exercise. No time left from last exercise, just stretching exercise. The arm in front and stretching the arm back, and the shoulder stays back. And on the other side, the arm in front and the shoulder stays back. We're done with scapular training. So by obstructive lung diseases, the larger bronchioles and the smaller bronchi, which are the airways in the lungs, are narrowed down, and that happens, let's assume that, because of that the smooth muscle inside of the lungs is excessively contracted, and that narrows them, and that leads to exhaling problems of the air, and to obstructed airways, and to inflamed, easily collapsible airways. And examples are asthma, bronchitis, bronchiectasis, and chronic obstructive pulmonary. Let's look at it again. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. And they all have in common, so they have different symptoms, and they are not that easy to diagnose, but they have in common that it takes longer than 1 second to inhale the full volume of the lungs. So less than 70% of the full volume of lungs, of the full volume which the lungs have as capacity, can be breathed in 1 second.
I thank you very much. Dr. Thanet, and until next time.